Thank you. Antioch University and Lambda Literary are two organizations that are very close to my heart, so I'm really happy to see them working together. I'm going to read a little bit from my memoir, which is called The 3-Year Switch, and it's about what it's like to be raised by 4 child psychologists. I don't remember his name, just that he was my mom's graduate student when I was little. She doesn't remember him at all. She swears it never happened, that he doesn't exist. She didn't even have graduate students then, she says. Then, she says, wait, you can write about me, but you can't write about my graduate students. The thing is, I tell her, I've got 2 memories up in here, and I don't know how to get them out. In one of these memories, he was standing in my mom's office on a humid Pennsylvania summer day, her big secretary desk behind him, wearing those 1980s short shorts and a too small t-shirt. He was jumping around, making helicopter noises at me while answering my mom's questions, talking louder than my mother cared for. I laughed and jumped into his arms. Mom watched off to the side, her arms crossed, worried about something, trying to get him to talk about work. He caught me and twirled me around. His voice sang when he spoke. His whole body seemed to smile. He didn't give a shit about the way my mother looked at him, the way her eyes seemed to be willing him to stop touching me. In fact, he seemed to feed off her disapproval, seemed to be playing with me more enthusiastically because of it. I wanted him to come over and play all the time. He's so difficult, my mom said after he left. Why? I asked. Because he has too much energy, she said. And he has syphilis. She tried to stop herself. But it was too late. What's syphilis? I asked. I was 7, 8, maybe, couldn't say my S's yet. Syphilis. And other stuff, she said. What other stuff? She ignored my questions. It's what happens when men are a certain way, she said, and when they aren't careful, they get very sick. In the second memory, still at my house, he was still wearing a t-shirt and shorts, his blonde hair still full, but his face was gray and blank. I could see too many of his bones. His clothes and skin hung off him, and he was not jumping anywhere. I ran up to him to get up in his arms, but he put his hands up. I'm tired, he said. I'm sorry. He walked out of the room and disappeared into a meeting. He didn't even say goodbye before he left. My mom later told me that he dropped out of school. He would be the only queer adult man I would meet, at least that I was aware of, until I went to college more than a decade later. Where did they all go? So many of the men I could have looked up to were dead or shell-shocked. How would I be different if they'd been there? It strikes me that there is no one to be angry at about this. What happens to children who come of age after an apocalypse, when there are no grown-ups left? In all the books and movies, the kids go feral. My problem, maybe, was that I forgot to go feral. Every time I thought of a boy, I thought of that graduate student. I thought of his skin hanging off his frame. I thought of the fear on my mother's face when he played with me. And then I thought of the girls I had crushes on. I wouldn't kiss a boy for another 15 years.